Hey, what you guys are about to see is my 228th fight. I was up in Chiang Mai against an opponent I'd fought once before. Her name is Hongmorakot Liangprasert. And I was giving up about 13 kilos, or for Americans, that's 29 pounds to my opponent. So in this video, you'll hear my commentary. I'm just talking about what the experience of the fight was like for me, and talk over the experience of getting stitches afterwards. And I hope you guys enjoy it. If you like my commentary, you like the content I'm putting out, definitely check out the link in the description to my Patreon. You can get over 50 hours of commentary footage there, and you support me as a fighter and a writer and all the stuff I'm putting out. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy it. This is fight 228 for me. This is up in Chiang Mai at the Taipei Boxing Stadium. That's Pidang in my corner. He was my trainer at Lana Muay Thai my first 2 years I was there when I moved to Thailand before moving down to Pattaya. And these awesome pink shorts I'm wearing are vintage replica shorts of what Karahat wore in a very famous fight against Lam Namun at Lumpini. And so we had those shorts pre-made by P-Boy at the Thai Claw shop, and this is the first time I got to wear them. They're old school style, and I love Karahat, so I was super excited to be wearing them in this fight to kind of honor him, and because he's my hero and I want to be him. It'd be like wearing a Batman cape into the ring with you or something. And I talked to the promoter before I came up to ask him who I was fighting, and initially he said it was going to be Nang Hong from the Liangprasert gym, who I've fought a number of times. She's about 54 kilos. But he said if it's not her, because there was some complication with their trainer being in Hong Kong, that it would just be someone else. So this is also from Nang Hong's gym, the Liangprasert gym. But instead of 54 kilos and someone I've fought before, this is someone I've never fought before, and she's 60 kilos. To put that in perspective, I weighed in at 46 and a half for this fight. So a roughly 13 kilo difference is about 29 pounds for Americans, of which I am one who don't translate between kilos and pounds. Not only is it 29 pounds, but because I'm 100 pounds, that's like 29% of my body weight. It's a significant difference. You can see a lot of it in her lower body. My dad and mom are with me at the stadium, and my dad was looking over at my opponent a little bit concerned. He's recently found out that I fight bigger people. He doesn't know that that's normal for me. This big of a weight difference is not normal for me. This is unusual, but I've fought at least 2 opponents at 60 kilos before, so this is my third. Usually the weight difference is like 5 or 6 kilos, but it was really sweet. He definitely was concerned, but just kept telling me he was proud of me and he'd be rooting for me. Like, he didn't make it a big deal, even though I could perceive that he was a little bit worried about it. In my last fight up at Taipei, maybe 2 weeks before this, I had just beat Tananchonok Gyosamrit, who is a local champion for sure, because she's from Lampang up in the north. But she's been world champion, WPMF world champion, for so many years. And I fought her, I think, 7 times. The last time I fought her was the 7th. And I beat her once before, but I beat her in this most recent fight as well. And she's bigger than me by about 6 kilos. She's like 54 maybe. So I'm coming off of a massive win at this stadium, which might be one reason the promoter gave me a 60 kilo opponent. But if you listen to the English language announcer on this fight, he's talking about how Sylvie fights everyone and can beat so many Thai fighters up in the north who are bigger than her. Like, it's part of my brand now, to be fighting people so much bigger than me. So you won't see matchups with this big of a disparity that often between female fighters in the north, but you do see slight weight disparities, like the ones that you normally see with me. You will see that sometimes, but they tend to match people pretty evenly. So I'm popping my back on the rope before starting. I don't remember having this referee before, but he definitely knows me. I'm sure he's been a judge there many nights that I'm there. I didn't realize that my opponent was southpaw until we actually started. I didn't even notice it when we were facing off. I've been southpaw for about 8 months properly, but training it for over a year now with Karahat. He switched me to put my strong side in the front because I have this tendency to overturn. And I'm doing something that I took from Karahat, which is this forward check. You'll see my left leg come forward. I felt a little weird doing it, I think, because she's southpaw. But it was working. She had these low kicks, and her legs are so massive. Those do hurt. But I've worked on the low kick destroyer, which is blocking those low kicks with your knee, which hurts your opponent. But I'm not quite getting to it yet. It's early. It's round 1.
Crowder, baby, Crowder.
Sorry for the camera shake. We're trying to work on getting better content, better footage, and so Kevin is working with a new camera that has a new setup, and it's hard for him to be working with the live stream and that camera. This is the first one we've shot with that camera. It's a nice cross catch there. That was a good hook and cross from her. That was beautiful. Gansak contacted me after this fight, and he's like, when you fight a natural southpaw, they have this advantage because they're comfortable in that stance, but he doesn't know I'm comfortable in that stance now, too. I'm locking out her arm really well in this clinch and able to land these knees. She's not scoring at all, but she's doing this thing that the Liangprasert girls all do. She's putting her chin in my eyeball, and so I'm pushing on her face, and because I'm so concerned with getting her chin off of me, she uses a great opening to twist me onto the ground there because I was so concerned with getting her chin out of my face. There's a nice knee from her, too. A step as I'm trying to come in. She has really good distance, and the way that she's, like, launching in, that's it's a knee after the bell. Kevin calls that the Sylvie special. There are times that I'm just too excited and I don't, like, respond to the bell. It's something that I definitely need to work on a little bit, but it's not a huge deal. So between rounds 1 and 2, you don't necessarily hear a whole lot from your corner because they're not really scoring rounds. But she's already nailing me with those low kicks, and she's so big that there's a little bit more urgency to this fight between rounds 1 and 2 than there might necessarily be in a more normal fight. You can see Dang is putting more Vaseline on my forehead because she's throwing elbows at me, so he's trying to prevent against cuts. This is Nung talking to me now. He's telling me to kind of push off an elbow instead of just grabbing her. I met Nung when he was like 12, maybe 14 years old the first time we came to Thailand, and he was so tiny. And now he's like 22 and massive. It's crazy. I really like the music they play between rounds at this stadium. It's all like 70s music. You'll get a lot of Cream and Queen. Alright, so now I need to stay closer to her, especially because of those leg kicks. They do damage that's accumulative, so you really don't want to rack up too many of those. I'm getting a little bit overturned trying to grab her there. That was beautiful from her, twisting me on my knee. And she's just showing the impact of her size. There is the low kick destroyer, and that stopped her leg kicks, that one block. But here, I've got a good lock on her, and I'm twisting. This is my specialty, is this kind of sidewinder twist in the clinch where you can keep moving around someone and nailing them with these knees. Karahat would be yelling at me to do a little skip back and get more straight knees rather than just those ones on the side, but those ones on the side do wear people down, and they do score. That right there, she caught me with an elbow as I was coming in because my left hand got lazy and went down a little bit. It was a beautiful upward elbow from her, but because we went straight into this scrap, nobody's seen it yet. So now as we start to twist, people are starting to see blood and they don't really know where it's coming from. And the ref is great. He doesn't break us. He lets this clinch keep going. There's my turn and a kick off of it. Now the ref has seen it, and now the announcer is starting to talk about the blood. She's trying to throw more elbows, but I caught her right arm, and now I am locked in. Oh, standing over her, bleeding on her a little bit because Sylvie's pissed now. I was so mad. I was so angry that she cut me, and there's an elbow that's hard to see because of the rope, but I pulled back a little bit and threw a right elbow into her cheekbone that put her down. And that's it. Oh, I was so mad. The first time I came out, when Nung was like 12 years old, I came back from a run and he's like, hey, I saw you walking, which I think I only walked for like 4 seconds or something. But after this fight, he was like, I see you angry. I was like, yeah, I was a little bit pissed off because I had a fight scheduled in Chiang Rai for the night after this fight, but having been cut, I couldn't go fight in Chiang Rai. So that's why I was angry, not the cut itself necessarily. So now we've switched feeds, so it's not the nice camera anymore. This is the live stream. So you'll see it's a little bit jumpy and sped up, and the sound is not matched. So I apologize for that. So I had to put my glove down to start taking photos with people because when you come out of the ring, people are very excited and all want photos with the bloody face fighter. I don't know these people. That's a good picture. That's my mom and dad behind us.
Beautiful.
Mom and dad. Bloody daughter. But I think they're impressed by my celebrity status at that moment, so that definitely mollified whatever parental concern they might have. I think actually this was an old cut that reopened. It's kind of along a line, and it stopped bleeding really quickly. So this is the main office of Taipei, where you come back to get your stitches, you come to get your gloves, you weigh in here. The fight board is back there. And there's 3 photographers who work at Taipei, and one of them liked a joke that I told last time. I got some stitches behind my ear when I fought Tanan Chinook in my last fight, and he was commenting on how I get cut so often, and I said, in Thai, if there was no cut, it wouldn't be Sylvie. I said, Ta my dak, my chai Sylvie, and so now he says that all the time. He thinks it's the greatest, so he followed me back there and was chanting to everyone, if there were no cut, it wouldn't be Sylvie. This is the ring doctor cleaning me up a bit while I'm fussing with my hand wraps. And I kind of love this weird camera disjointedness. The way that I'm not paying attention to the doctor shows how often I've experienced this. It's like when you see a celebrity in their makeup chair and someone is like rubbing a brush over their face and they're just checking their phone. So this is the photographer who loves my joke, and he was very excited about the cut. He got actually a really nice photo that shows how clean the cut is. It's very straight, and it stopped bleeding very quickly. I was less excited about my elbow knockout than I really should have been because I was so pissed that I had to cancel my fight tomorrow. I should be really excited about that elbow KO. I got my first real elbow KO a number of fights ago, so awesome shorts.
Thank you.
And in celebration of that, I got my other elbow tattooed with the same sakyan I have on my right elbow. And since then, my right elbow has been going much better. So getting my left elbow tattooed has improved the power of my right elbow, which is kind of incredible. This is Dang's voice, even though you can't see him because the timing is off, but he's remarking that I don't care about the cut. I'm just upset that I can't fight tomorrow. He finds that very funny. This doctor is really good. I've known him for many, many years. He works at different stadium. This stadium has 2 doctors, so they alternate nights, and I think that they go to different places on those other nights. So there's that guy's voice. My dak, my chai Sylvie. So the good thing about getting stitches directly out of the ring is that your adrenaline is still going. And so for me, I'm used to it. I don't really need anesthetic at all. When they wait a really long time, it's definitely more painful. This is the photographer. He wants a photo with me. and of himself of the cut. I like how he's pointing at it as though nobody would see it if he didn't point out where it is. I think it's actually cool that I got blood on the Karahat shorts, because that very famous fight, he cut Lam Namoon. That's how he won that fight. So now I just need to be the one doing the cut, but I did win by elbow. So this is Dang asking me how I feel, and I said nothing hurts but Jep Jai, which means like my heart hurts because I can't go fight tomorrow. And he's showing me how to block, and from the block throw the elbow. Dang just got back from China. He was in China for about 6 months, so he hasn't been in my corner for the last 6 months, and this is his first fight back cornering for me. Or I guess Tananchinook was the first last time. So this is his second time cornering for me since he got back. But he's great to have in the corner. I really like up in Taipei, I know everybody. Like, everybody's known me as a fighter for 6 years because I was in Chiang Mai before I moved down to Pattaya. So this is like my community, like my extended fight family, even people at the stadium who I see. I'm not sure what Dang is asking me here, but we're having a in-depth conversation. So, with these stitches that I'm getting here, these count up to 200 stitches altogether. 200 stitches in all my fights is pretty significant. That's a lot more stitches than most people are going to experience in their lives. In my first fight that I got cut in, which I think was my 7th or 9th fight, I got kicked in the head and it opened up my eyebrow. And my corner was an ER doctor, and she glued me shut. And John Wayne Parr commented on my picture of getting the glue that doesn't count as stitches, but you need to start having a stitch count. So because he said that, I've started counting my stitches. Not from my first cut, but from the first time I actually got stitched. And when I was done with these stitches, I tagged John Wayne Parr and said that these were my 200 and that he was the one who inspired me to have a stitch count. And he was like, "You're the only person crazy enough to play this game with me of keeping track of your stitches." And it was kind of incredible because in the comments back and forth between him and me, he expressed a little bit, or at least notable, embarrassment about how many stitches he's gotten. He doesn't see it as a sign of his badassery, although he does count them and talk about it enough in a way that he sees it as meaningful to him. And it's meaningful to me. And what was interesting to me about that exchange is that I've gone back and forth endless times. Like, every time I get stitched, there's part of me that's really proud and part of me that's embarrassed. The way I got pissed in that fight, part of that is the embarrassment. Coming back here and not celebrating my elbow KO, part of that is my embarrassment. So for John Wayne Parr, who has 350 stitches or something, he counts his surgery stitches in that total. He's conflicted about it as well. But when you look at not his and my comments with each other, but the comments of people who are looking at us talking to each other, everyone thinks it's really awesome. Like, if you get 2 stitches in your 4th fight or something, and you're like, now I'm in the stitch count with Sylvie and John Wayne Parr, that's cool. Like, to me, that's really cool. So I think the larger part of me thinks that the stitches are indicative of a kind of heart towards Muay Thai that I'm proud of, rather than the stitches themselves. And Kevin says to me all the time that when I'm done fighting, when I'm old, when it's like all just a memory, all the scars on my forehead are going to be like these complete trophy badges. I was having this conversation with Pinu in the ring. I think between my last fight and this one, I was remarking how his shin guards and pads were all beat up. And he said, if you're a real trainer, having really nice equipment doesn't look good. And then he pointed at my forehead and he's like, same with fighters. And And he pointed to his cauliflower ear, he pointed to his knee, which he had surgery on and gives him trouble all the time. He pulled his tooth out. He has a false tooth, and it's my favorite when he pulls it out. And so he's showing me all the things that he has as consequence of being a fighter, and then pointed to my scars as my consequence of being a fighter. And he's like, this is what a fighter should look like. A trainer should have pads that look like they've been used. Like, it doesn't look right if as a fighter you're spotless. So that's really beautiful to me as well. You can see how zen I am while he's giving me these stitches. They definitely hurt. This spot is less painful than my last stitches, which were behind my ear. For some reason, behind the ear is a really sensitive spot. Maybe there's a nerve back there or something. I like that you can feel each suture going in, although the actual feeling of that is pretty painful. But my hands are really relaxed, which I look at people's hands. I kind of have a hand thing. And when I look at these trainers, when I'm filming for the Muay Thai Library and I look at these legends, I watch their hands, and their hands are so gentle and relaxed when they're doing things that are otherwise very violent, which to me is a signal for how relaxed they are. So the way my hands look while I'm getting my stitches, to me, is that same thing that I see in the legends of being at ease while there's tension in other places, because there's only tension necessary in one part, and you can allow the relaxation in other parts during that. But goddamn, 60 kilos, man. That was my, in the last couple of years, that was my third 60 kilo opponent, and I'm 3-0 against them, so I actually tend to do pretty well against these giants. I'm like Sylvie the Giant Slayer. Look at how steadily he works. He did a really nice job. As I'm recording this, the stitches are still in my face, and the line is really nice and straight, and they're healing really nice. I actually saw Yodkunpan at the gym when I got back to Pattaya after this fight, and was talking to him about the fight. I was very proud at that point because the sting of embarrassment had gone away. I was proud of the elbow KO, and I was telling him about it. And it was kind of incredible to be talking to a man whose nickname is the Elbow Hunter of 100 Stitches about the stitches in my face. He was like telling me to take the Band-Aid off because you need to give them air so that they heal better. And he clearly keeps thinking about how I got that elbow, because I've seen him 3 or 4 times since I've come back, and he keeps asking me what happened and showing me how to block it better and asking me how my elbow went and stuff. It's very cool to have these guys kind of involved in my process. I don't know who drew that picture on the wall there. It's a little crazy. Probably a kid. Karahat was stoked on this fight when I sent it to him. He said it was really good, and then gave me some pointers on some things he wants me to work on. As I was saying in the fight, he definitely wants me to have that step back and straight left knee more ready because it does more damage. I'm just chatting to the doctor here. He's asking me some questions. I can't imagine how many times he's given stitches like this to fighters just fresh out of the ring. The first time we came to Thailand in 2010, we were at a different stadium that has all these bars around it, and there's a pool table at the place where we get ready. And I'd never been to Thailand before. I'd never seen like Muay Thai in Thailand live. And this fighter got cut in the ring, and they took him straight out and basically told the people who were currently playing pool to move over. And they put him on the pool table, or like sat him next to it and laid his head on it, because the light directly over the pool table is so good. So they did his stitches on the pool table, and it was the most incredible thing to witness your first time being in Thailand. It left a huge impact on me, and I've since then gotten stitches at that stadium, although I don't think that they laid me on the pool table for it. I think that I was under a lamp or something. But it's part of the incredible nature of Muay Thai being this whole lifestyle, this whole community in Thailand. Look at how calm and steady that doctor is. It reminds me of my dentist when I was growing up as a kid, Dr. Summers. He would totally try to have conversations with me while he was cleaning my teeth, which you cannot do because you have, like, all the equipment in your mouth. But the way I'm chatting to him like this is totally, like, I don't know, the way you talk to your hairdresser or something. And then there are all these men off to the side that you can't see who are just carrying on their conversation. They all are photographers or work for Muay Thai or are promoters or the announcers. It's just part of the night.
Yeah, Casey,
it's not a big deal.
This might push her over 200 stitches as a stitch count.
So Kevin's talking on the live feed. We don't know how many stitches it's going to be yet, so we're not sure whether this will push me over 200 or not. And it ended up being just exactly 200. Just kind of fortuitous. It was pretty funny. I forgot my bucket, so I left. Like, I'd already said goodbye to everyone, and then I had to run back in to grab my bucket. And there was this Thai guy who had been in the gambling section, and I think the Thai language announcer said something to me, and I can't remember what it was in relation to, but I said, as a joke, that if this were Lumpini and if they had antacid as the sponsor for stitches, they give you a bonus for each stitch you get. I think it's like 500 baht per stitch. I was like, I would be rich already if there was the antacid sponsorship here. And this gambler who had been watching my fight looked at me like I was a talking muffin and was like, oh my god, Sylvie speaks Thai? It's like, yeah. And then his eyes got even wider and he's like, and you know Muay Thai history? I was like, yeah, antacid still has a sponsor there. But it's pretty funny. I think that his experience of me was just that I swooped in rather than like, yeah, I've been here many times. Like, everyone here knows me already. You're the outsider kind of thing.
I think it was 191. Wasn't it? Does that ring a bell to you?
So that's me asking the doctor how many stitches it was and calculating out that that's 200. So I'm indicating to Kevin it's 200 stitches now. Some doctors do this thing where they actually sew a piece of gauze onto your forehead to, like, keep it on there because you're supposed to keep the bandage on for 24 hours before even showering with it or anything. So some of them will literally sew it onto your head. I hate that style.
7 days?
It's like you have a gauze bow on your head and it's really hard to get off when it is time to actually clean up.
Yeah, because of the spot.
But this guy just taped it, I think maybe because it was on my forehead. They tend to stitch it when it's like in your scalp, so you can't really put tape
It'd be good to get some
in the
rest.
hair.
Work on observation. We'll
So here I'm like thinking about how that promoter in Chiang Rai is going to be pissed at me for not coming. And I've kind of chilled out about it since because, one, the reason that promoter was so excited for me to come fight for him is because of my brand, which is the little Farong who fights so hard and gets cut and it fights bloody and beats people bigger. That's my brand. So if you want me because of that, you also have to accept that your card, me being on your card, got canceled because I'm that. I hate canceling fights. I've very, very rarely not been able to meet me saying that I can go fight for someone. And so it bums me out. But at the same time, this is Muay Thai. That's part of the game. It happens to everyone at some point. Like, you can't make it because you're, I don't know, people cancel because they're sick. Some people cancel because they have bigger cards, all this stuff. So there's nothing you can do about it. You can't fight with stitches in your head.
Hey, it's Liangprasert
I've been
at
cut
60 kilos.
and not gotten stitched and just taped it and gone and fought because you can fight with not stitches in your head and you get stitched after. But once the stitches are in your forehead, I can't go fight like that.
Okay. You'll find your level.
That's my super calm disappointment. I've been much brattier than this before, but this is my zened out disappointment. It's kind of funny because I got chastised after this fight by endless trainers telling me to keep my guard up. and that this is why I got cut. My guard was pretty up. I kind of dropped my left hand on my way in a little bit, which is how she got that upward elbow, but my guard was not super down, and I blocked tons of her elbows after that, so
Nice, baby.
my guard is getting better.
beautiful fight.
It just takes the one contact, and that
Took
means
away
I
her
can
leg
do it
kicks.
too. Steal something from everyone. So Dang and Nung went home
Went for the
already.
kill when you started bleeding.
Usually your corner stays throughout this process, but they know me already.
Beautiful framing on your clean
So they're like,
Beautiful.
are you okay?
Beautiful
Everything's
framing.
good. It's fine. You guys can go.
Movement inside the frame.
Kevin
really
was
something.
super impressed by this fight. He loved this fight.
Let's put your.
I didn't allow myself to really see it or
hot
feel it
shorts.
because of this disappointment, but that's part of my growth also, is like getting
Put your
out of my
parents on,
head.
live stream.
The reason I was able to go knock her out is because I was a little bit pissed, which got me out of my head. Like
is,
slightly pissed off Sylvie is a really good
This is
fighter.
Sylvie's father, Steve.
That's the
and
English announcer right there.
Patty.
And then my parents
Her mom.
outside.
Live
My
feed.
dad met this guy Shane
Everybody going
from
out to
South
Facebook.
Africa. I have a brother named Shane. And he was like, can you go
Wow,
take a
that
picture
was
with
an
him? I said
exciting
you
fight.
could take one. I was like, sure, Dad. He's
Shut the
actually really
stadium
nice.
down. Baby, you want to say goodbye to your
People come to Chiang Mai
Watchers.
because they've watched my fights, which is awesome to me. I love being a beacon to Chiang Mai fighting. Okay, so that was my 228th fight against Hongmorakot Liangprasert, giving up 29 pounds or 13 kilos to her. I'm excited about the fight now, as you heard in the commentary, less so during the fight, but this is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to put up because people have said they really like my commentary on my fights, to give you perspective of what that experience is like for me, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you'd like to see more like this, or over 50 hours of commentary on videos, definitely check out the link in the description. Go check out my Patron. And again, that helps support me as a fighter and a writer, and you can help shape the content by letting me know what you like, and I hope you guys enjoy it.